Hello again there, friends and fans. Raptor here, and welcome back to a major update to Warno, otherwise known as Warning Order, from the makers of Wargame Red Dragon and Steel Division, aka Eugen Systems, comes Warno. In 1989, in a Cold War gone hot situation, of course, we have ourselves East and West Germany versus each other, as well as the NATO and Warsaw Pact friends. They're all along here for a good time, and I hope you are too. So thanks again for smashing that like button and hanging out as we play yet another real-time strategy game. 3 to look forward to this year. Big real-time strategy games this year, including Broken Arrow, Warno, and of course, oh man, I really wish I could say like a new World in Conflict. But yes, we're also looking forward to the release of my favorite, Regiments. Now, before, a few weeks ago, the only thing that was out was Regiments. And we took a look at that game from the very beginning about a year or two ago during its demo phase. And then, of course, now more recently for its playtest. A wonderful little free game, by the way, that you can pick up. Don't forget about that one. But this one, of course, will cost you a little bit as you get early access to the game. But now the early access has an update. And this update bringing the faction that you're seeing now, which is the 8th Infantry Division, and also the new division for the Soviets, the 39th Guard Streliki Division. So basically more tanks and more troops to play with, although these are kind of more infantry focused. This is what we're going to see here today, is U.S. troops inside of helicopters. We also get some access to some West German forces, including the Hemmetschützen and the Jaeger forces, a few other mixed in there as well. But this is going to be pretty cool to see some infantry working together in a very specific battle group from a new division. Now, I'm hoping that the developers continuously add new stuff all the time. I hope these major updates get even more major in the future with things like, for example, a co-op campaign to play, which is why I really like Regiments. Again, a big year for Regiments, Broken Arrow, and so much more. Make sure you subscribe to the channel here to get the latest and greatest on real-time strategy games here. And if you're a big old fan of games like Hell Let Loose and other first-person shooters, these types of games are fantastic. Of course, Broken Arrow going to be more in modern times, Warno being in 1989 Cold War Germany, and also Regiments kind of being in the same region as well. Hopefully in the future we'll see some more Western and Eastern German units, and they are in there. If you go take a look at the armory, we'll go ahead and cover some of that stuff in the next few days. But if you pay attention to the top tab here, don't skip this. This is important stuff. New units, of course, with different pricing and such based on their transports, which other factions may not get, other divisions even of the same faction, and also some new aircraft to toy around with, or rather more, well, they say new aircraft, they label them differently based on their weaponry or whatnot, whatever you want to say. I forget what I'm trying to say with that one. But basically, however they're deployed into battle, whatever they're going to be strong against. An F-16C, for example, can be air superiority, or it could possibly, do air-to-ground seed work. And so that's kind of what you get with the different types of names and such here, which makes this faction or this division a little more powerful. Let's go ahead and launch our battle here. Powerful or not, maybe stronger or weaker based on how you look at things. We're going to go ahead and start with some airborne troops here today and take over this village. And we're going to send the infantry in. One thing I've noticed in this game is that U.S. infantry seems to be better working in larger groups, and the Soviet infantry seems to be better in solo situations. In other words, if you were to take an Arrow Rifles or a U.S. Rifles group against a Streliki group, I think the Streliki would win, but I think a lot of these forces are really meant to be used in conjunction. If you're sending out recon, it's because you probably plan to hit the enemy with some artillery, or maybe you're going to, I don't know, use some tanks or something to flank them, or get the line of sight needed for an ATGM. You're not going to attack solely on their own. This is wonderful. Good to see the cavalry coming in, boys. Fantastic. Blackhawks moving up to capture that village up there. We got some AI with us today. We got two groups of the same faction, or two groups of the same battle group, the 8th Infantry, and also two of the 3rd Armor Division. These are going to be fantastic against the Soviet mix, which is kind of the same. We're both like perfect counters to each other, and we're going to go ahead and continue to capture the fronts. If you haven't seen this before, by the way, this is a similar game to Wargame or Steel Division, if you've heard of those. If not, basically the goal here is to capture these little squares, these strategic points, with command units in order to get enough points in order to win. Each of these are kind of worth different types of values, different types of points, and it's up to us to capture the front lines. Let's drop those troops. Let's go. Watch them deploy, boys. Whoa, what the? Whoa. Whoa, okay. All right, well, now the troops are deployed. We can actually sell these units, too. A lot of cool things that we can do to make sure that we can either bring troops to the front or whatnot. It looks like the Soviets have already captured this area, so we're going to get our Arrow troops in here. There's a lot of commands you can do from Steel Division that I'm not even yet used to yet, as I didn't play that so much, although I did like it and played it a bunch, just not enough to really learn things like, for example, giving orders before the battle begins, etc. Wow, we got ourselves grenade launchers firing at mechanized rifles here, which are trying to haul ass in that truck. Woo! Keep driving, boys. That's going to be a bad time, sad time for them if they're caught out in the open like that. All right, well, we're going to try to fight against all these troops here. Looks like the Soviets have some anti-aircraft up, or rather a BTR just shooting at our helicopters. We got some wonderful Rangers here, which are going to be really useful against enemy troops. They're quite good fighters. They're not the best, you know, like they're not like an elite special forces unit, but they definitely are better than regular infantry, at least in this game. And we're going to continue to try to call out some more units here up to the front lines. Let's go ahead and try to primarily go with infantry. I see here we've got a rocket Mi-8 on the left side, a Soviet helicopter that can definitely do a lot of damage. We're going to continue to call up our infantry, though, and try to get everybody into hiding. There we go. Other friendlies are with us. Look at all the smoke plumes on the battlefield. This is one to keep an eye on, folks. I'm telling you. It's going to be a really good game, I think, when it comes out. For now, I must say I'm getting exhausted of some of the same battles over and over with the two factions that were available, the two divisions that were available. But finally, we have access to more stuff, which makes me excited. And that's what makes it a wonderful major update, because it's the first new content we got. We got to love it. We got to appreciate it. And we got to see more real-time strategy games. And I want to showcase them here on the channel. So, again, that's why I'm telling you, Broken Arrow, and I'm telling you, Regiments are going to be two fantastic games to keep an eye on. The Soviets calling in some artillery now in the infantry. Kind of cool to see. Also, they've got some rockets out there that we're going to have to deal with. We got more infantry on the way. I'm probably going to hide some of those guys. Wait. Rangers and such running away. There we go. Actually, this is a good opportunity for us to flank and see what the enemy might have here, because they've got some flaming wrecks already over there. We're going to try to spread out our troops in the town. Try to keep them safe from artillery, but also to lock down choke points that the Soviets may use to try to push forward. And it looks like they've decapped this zone. It is now white, which means it's neutral for anybody to capture. And it looks like right now we're at +2. We're capturing 2 more points than the enemy, so we've got a surplus. We're up to 80 out of the 4,000 required. This is going to be quite a long battle, but I wanted to see what would happen. We can also call in some Fighting Falcons from the air, which actually have some... Oh, the Thunderbolt has access to Mavericks, but the Fighting Falcon is the one that has the semi-active radar missiles, which are good for long-range anti-air engagements, although in this game it's not so long-range. One of the things I've seen you guys complaining a bit about, and some good criticism, is that sometimes this game does not, or rather, when it first was released, was just kind of way too slow for the aircraft combat and way too fast for the ground combat. A lot of people saying that ground units arrived too quickly and that they could drive too quickly. And so the ground combat was extremely fast, and also the air combat was extremely slow. And some things kind of reduced for realism, maybe, like, for example, aircraft do take a little bit of time to get in the operational area to spend some time over their targets and or to do whatever patrol the infantry or ground forces may have called in, or whomever. And so now they've kind of slowed it down and rebalanced some things. And the devs are listening with open ears and open arms. They definitely want to make a good game that everybody's going to enjoy. And I think to myself, wait a minute. It has been almost 10 years since Wargame Red Dragon. Yeah. 2014, I believe that game came out. It is now 2022. A couple of years, and we're looking at a decade into Wargame. So I'm really expecting a massive campaign from these guys. And this is why I think, still, at this moment, Regiments, although it doesn't really have multiplayer at the moment, or co-op at the moment, it does have skirmish, which means that it could open the door to multiplayer, as where Regiments, or rather, Warno, has these things already, some multiplayer. So that means the developers may be polishing some campaign stuff based on feedback of the community and multiplayer. Much easier to give feedback in the PvP and PvE multiplayer sections than it is to do that in a campaign. We're going to go ahead and call up some more units here. I'm going to call up some tanks. We got a lot of points to spend. I'm going to actually call up a Command Patton and a couple of Abrams now. And unfortunately, we don't have anything for the Germans at the moment. In terms of tanks, but let's go ahead and call up a couple of German units. Let's let the Germans get in here. They definitely were a unified fighting force here. And speaking of we have Unimogs coming up with them. I think made by Mercedes. We'll take a look at those in just a moment. A transport force. All right, this is exciting. Let's get the forces up there. Let's go, boys. Very nice. I love these arrow rifles. I love the transporting of troops via the helicopter into some of these urban battles. Like, look at how cool that looks. Definitely a game to keep an eye on, man. It's really cool to see the infantry and stuff crossing out. A lot of people also asking for me to zoom in and such in the game, and I completely agree with you. That's definitely something we should do a little bit more. zoom in on some of these units and whatnot. But of course, this is the type of game that you'll play zoomed out at this level, or possibly even more, based on whether or not you, you know, you're giving orders to aircraft or artillery. If you play zoomed in, you're going to die to death. So it's always a good idea to zoom out just a little bit. Let's go ahead and get some aircraft up too. We'll call up a, oh, we have a anti-radar system actually. The EF-111A Raven is actually a seed aircraft, which goes out and detects ground units that have radar, anti-aircraft radar, and shoot them before they shoot us, that kind of thing. It's kind of a cool little way to thin out enemy defenses. All right, let's go ahead and get our mechanized rifles over here. I'm going to go ahead and call them out here and try to get them to go over this way. Or not mechanized rifles, but yeah, mechanized rifles and arrow rifles to move into the city and move into the woods to, yes, secure these flanks from the motor streliki and whatnot. Whoa, and there goes our missile going out. Oh, that was cool. What, they added that now? A lot of great changes to the game. I'm hearing a little bit more sound than I heard before. Let's see if the... oh, whoa, whoa. Unfortunately, the Raven taking some hits there. I don't know, from another aircraft or whatnot. This... I'm actually shocked. This is not actually shooting down any of the... oh, boy. Oh, he's dead. Is he going to die? No? Oh, there he goes. Oh, there we go. Air superiority fighter from the Soviets coming in. Okay. Oh, let's just say he made it. He made it fine. He's fine. He's fine. Yeah, it looks like an air superiority fighter came in and then peeled off immediately. Meanwhile, we got our Thunderbolt here. Anything to try to deal with those ground forces will be good. But, yeah, we're all over the battle here for sure. Let's go ahead and call up a couple more patents to bring out the pain. All right, we're going to go ahead and call up some of these units. A-10 now taken down. I don't know where the hell this anti-aircraft is coming from the Soviets. We tried to clear that out. It could also be infrared, but infrared is a little bit more inaccurate than what we just saw. So, but good to see, regardless of losses, units actually doing something. It's good to see that the Soviets have some fight in them, and I like that. Oh, nice ATGMs going out. Beautiful BMPs being destroyed. We've got our ITVs here, which are basically M113s with giant anti-tank launchers on the top of them, and they can do some good damage from long range against enemy tanks and whatnot. And we're going to go ahead and get our mechanized rifles moving on the left side. Falcon, I don't even know what the hell that's fighting at. Or firing at. Trying to take out helicopters and such. Wow. You know, I've heard some people saying that the aircraft just aren't able to really do much about AA. If they get over the AA will win. But typically, AA is in a losing battle. So it's usually the ground forces that are going to die. So it's good to see that. The fact that they can actually shoot down aircraft is good. Because before it was just like by the time they acquired a target, they were either already dead before they were able to fire, or that they just weren't able to calculate and fire before they, like, the unit was dropping its bombs and leaving the area, you know, that kind of thing. So we'll wait for our tanks to come up. Of course, aircraft are going to be a little bit more effective in conjunction with, like, tanks, for example, so that way units can be cleared from the field, and then tanks can take those positions. Do we have any sort of man pads here? Any sort of anti-aircraft? No, I guess we just got the PVADs. No man portable anti-aircraft. That's all right. Enemy has brought up some artillery units very close. The Soviets here having this unit, and I think this is also an Eastern German unit. The East Germans get that type of unit as well. And the enemy is now taking a good lead here at +3. We're going to go ahead and try to capture that. But again, we're with AI as well, so the AI can either be really intelligent or really dumb. And of course, they love to spam that artillery, even shooting artillery at helicopters that just happen to be hovering above the ground. All right. Well, we're going to get... Oh, boy. Oh, wow. Jaeger forces back here even taking hits? Let's take a look at that Unimog. Sometimes the enemy fires at stuff that they really honestly shouldn't even be able to see. But, again, it's more of a critique on the AI and whatnot and how things roll out there. Oh, the Unimog is a little bit bigger than I remember it. Could be a different version of it, though. But anyway, oh yeah, it's the 5404. Small size not found, I guess. Go ahead and send up the Jaeger forces. No voice acting for the Germans yet? I guess not. Well, let's see. We have our command tank here, but it looks like the enemy has captured this area, which means they have a command unit inside that square too. And with a command unit inside there, are they firing artillery off the map? What the hell? It looks like the enemy is actually trying to fire artillery at where aircraft should be spawning from. That looked to be a missile, but it also looked to be artillery at the same time. I'm not sure. But anyway, with a lack of tanks, we really need to specialize a little bit more inside the house-to-house fighting. We've got our patents and such here. We'll go ahead and try to take on T-80Us, but that ain't going to happen. We'll also call up the ATGM, but again, that ain't going to happen. But we are causing some havoc to the enemy forces. If we just capture over here, it looks like our AI forces are trying to push up there. Bringing up Bradley IFVs and maybe some tanks are around somewhere. Might be some tanks nearby there, but anyway, let's see how we do against that T-80. Looks like it hauled ass out of there. Ooh, and it's going to be fighting the infantry here shortly. We put our arrow rifles inside of this apartment building. We're going to try to push up then. There we go. Arrow rifles armed with law launchers. Oh, they can actually take out this anti-aircraft unit. What looks to be a giant Winnebago is actually like a Soviet anti-aircraft infrared launcher. Wow, we're just getting absolutely clapped. That is incredible. The AI is so damn precise with detecting a unit and then immediately artillering it to death with like 1, 2, 3 insta shots, rather than them having the advantage of... Oh, wow. Enemy air contact. Oh, that's what that symbol is for, or that's the sound and that symbol for enemy aircraft spotted. Oh, it's an Su-25. Well, we'll go ahead and call in the West Germans. They have an Alpha jet ready to engage that Su-25. Chaparral firing, but a little too late on that. We also have a PVADS here, and that didn't even try to engage it at all, although it passed right in front of its line of sight. Interesting. Now, these maps and such are really good so far, but one thing I want to see is the ability to, I think the devs have confirmed that there will be nighttime battles, but they won't affect combat. They're kind of just more of a visual thing. But I do want to see different types of seasons, although I think the game is going to try to take place around a several-month campaign of maybe somewhere from like late spring to early autumn, so that way the troops could fight without winter, that type of thing. Well, we got a long battle here to fight out. Hopefully our forces are able to get up there. I've noticed, especially when playing against AI, that there's just like just an incredible amount of spam that comes in, especially, yeah, here we go. The artillery that's just seemingly precisely placed every time. Right there on that unit that's been expelled from the house. So already a previous firing, now firing again. Jaeger forces, excellent. The Germans, here they come. Excellent. The Germans up there. I think those are maybe 12 to 15-man squads eliminating that motor Strelicky there. Let's try our own artillery. We did have our wonderful rocket artillery on standby. Let's get some rockets going, brother. I think it's finally a good time to use that. Looks like we've got mortars and other stuff. So let's go with the MLRS. And actually, I want to try to get some supply for that, too. It's going to need it. So let's call out a couple choppers here for this.
Yes, sir.
There we go. And we'll just fire where we thought they were, right around there.
Ready to fire.
And we'll continue to move into the woods.
It's hard here.
So this is a battle sometimes that can be frustrating to fight. Oftentimes, if you play with or against the AI, you can be having the game of your life, but still be down in points in terms of like the enemy just capturing more than you. So always great to have games with friends where everybody's at somewhat the same skill level. Though this game I don't think has any sort of skill-based matchmaking, it is on you, I guess, to try to team up with everybody else. Wow, I think our AI here moved up there to the recon spot. Well, we should be able to see what's there, but we'll destroy that. But yes, as I was saying, skill is definitely more about learning how to utilize the units to the best to their advantage than it is to learn about the, for example, meta tactics of the week, which of course will change for a while until everybody gets bored and then goes off and does something else when there's going to be DLCs. I hope there's going to be some awesome DLCs for this one, though. We didn't really get much for Wargame aside from some new nations such as the Netherlands and South Africa and a few others. But I do want to see a massive campaign for this game, co-op. It seems there's going to be, I think it was operations similar to how it is, again, regiments. I know I keep saying it, but that's going to be one that's near and dear to my heart for setting a good standard for any sort of, well, campaigns. I want to see a good campaign, and you guys are always wanting to see multiplayer on every game that I play, always asking if the game is multiplayer, and I agree with you, and I feel like everything should be optional in terms of like having the option to play with friends in PvE or with friends in PvP or a campaign, which is fantastic. Let's go ahead and fire at this artillery unit there. Artillery seems to be more worth it than ever before. It seems to be very accurate, though it takes up a lot of supplies. So when you call out artillery, it's going to, yeah, as you saw there, clobber enemy positions, but its munition is very expensive, though it can be quick to reload and quick to push the front line. So if you've got a valuable unit, make sure you hide it. Looks like our Patton here is out of the capture zone. I don't know how it's blue then. The allies here must have some sort of a command unit, although I don't see one. Well, let's go ahead and push up with our Pattons. We'll just set them on to hunt and go wherever. Let's see. Right side's looking good. Really good, actually. The allies have pushed up to where we have. The center is just where we're having trouble, although it's now being captured, so not too bad. Actually, right here is where we really want to capture this objective here. Another thing in the game, too, that I'd like to see in comparison to regiments is, for example, in a military campaign and in previous versions of European Escalation, there were missions to capture things such as bridgeheads and airfields and such, and I'd love to see that in this game, where it often seems like they just create a map based on certain terrain. And by the way, very accurate terrain too, where they've gone out and 3D scanned things and got things right in terms of height and layouts of mountain ranges and hills and farm fields and how things looked and functioned in the 80s. But really what's more important than that for me is the ability to feel like I'm fighting over important territory. To bring back World in Conflict, sometimes you would fight in that game over things like, for example, a bridgehead or a gas station or a medical, like a hospital, and or like a fast food restaurant, where these things were important. They could supply the troops with food or points for electricity. They could be areas where they could get medical treatment and or come in and take things like bandages and hospital beds and refit it to their own purposes. And so I think it'd be awesome in this game to be able to see them just be, rather than larger important goals like this, which is fine. This is totally cool. I want to see more as well. I want to see more options for this type of thing. Ah, there's our Abrams that we called out long ago. I was wondering where they went. Well, these are perfect targets on the left side. PVAD's now firing at enemy aircraft. Enemy losing one aircraft there. Beautiful. But I do certainly like taking the objectives. I'd like to play the destruction mode sometime as well, though this is kind of more like a... this mode is more about like, hey, just push in and just capture, have a good time, and just try to dominate the field by any means necessary. If you took 1 million men worth of losses, but you happen to capture the objective, objective complete. So it'll be interesting to see what they do for the campaign in this game. Seeing all these different types of divisions and knowing previous versions of Steel Division and also Wargame Red Dragon, it was very important to keep your units alive. Anything that you would lose or use in your battle, for example, if you brought up a bunch of tanks and then they were destroyed, you wouldn't get them unless you rest and refitted at a friendly port or something like that in order to replenish those losses. And so it'd be interesting to see what they come up with in this game, including the ability to, like, for example, paradrop behind enemy lines and actually have, on-screen paradrops, somewhere on the field. World in Conflict would do that. I'd love to see that in regiments, and I also hope to see that in Broken Arrow. All right, right now we're bringing up a bunch of troops that have kind of an early-aged ATGM. All these transports are coming up to bring the troops into this position here. We're going to set up a defensive line for if and when the enemy tries to push us out. I'm also going to bring up a command here. Good. Helicopter there that should capture this position. So these are command units, by the way. We've gone over this before, and there's some really good details in the game. If you have any questions, please do not be afraid to ask at any time down below, and I or anybody else who is, well, probably everyone else who's an expert in this game will answer your questions on, for example, how things work and what the best methods to do things are. And we covered some of these different units and tactics in previous episodes, such as the difference between bringing in infantry versus bringing in a tank versus bringing in a helicopter command, an area where orders can be given. And just to be short, infantry are better in buildings and such, though they're a little bit more expensive, so they can be more inconspicuous. harder to hit and harder to destroy and detect. And also, I've got to say that the helicopters are a little weaker, easier to detect, and you know, they at least can capture a position quickly. So if you're fighting over an area that's not so important, it's always a good idea to send a chopper there, because the chopper can easily move in and out at a fairly fair price. But the tanks are always exciting to call out for that type of operation, because they can be on the front line, defend a position, and hold it, literally, while enemy tanks are advancing as well. Looks like they actually... God, I cannot believe how accurate... You look away for a second, man, and all of your stuff's on fire. They seem to detect command tanks and everything quickly. And you can see here, yes, vehicles and artillery and infantry can destroy buildings. Some of them have napalm launchers. Some of them have mortars. There's artillery and rocket artillery that you've seen that can just completely devastate buildings, so they can't be used again for cover. So we could send our mechanized or air rifles into those buildings, or we're just going to try to push them forward and try to hold. But, boy, I see that this game is still quite fast-paced, as a lot of people were saying, in terms of the infantry. And a lot of things just being kind of a complete cluster. You bring in all sorts of different infantry, and by the time you've got them deployed and moving in, the enemy's already got recon on you, helicopters are attacking, artillery's coming in, and a plane is about to bomb you all simultaneously. Well, for example, here, there's your example. 3 seconds ago, we looked at our chopper, and now it's destroyed. I have no idea how the enemy is able to spot our units, because, you know, we've got infantry all around there. They should be able to spot them. So we'll just kind of continue to try to capture these positions and take the lead. Soviets are probably going to end up winning this one, but that's totally fine with me. I just wanted to say what was new. Let's go take a more in-depth look at these two factions. All right, so to bring it on in and reel in everything we've learned today, again, the East German forces are coming soon to the game. They've already got a few units, actually, and they're part of the other faction that you'll be seeing, the Soviet variant of the infantry division that we just saw. But East German units using a lot, of course, Soviet stuff here, and a few things of their own. But for the most part, they've got their own stuff here that they're going to use, including the Grenzier and the UAZs, and also the supply truck that looks to be a captured American one. I have no idea. But the models will change. The game's still work in progress, that type of thing. Here's some of the German stuff you'd seen earlier, too, including the... oh, actually, we do have a red eye here. Excellent. The man-pads. Wonderful. The Stinger, basically. Well, earlier version of that. And then also our Jaeger units and a couple of other ones that you may have seen. But good stuff. So anyway, the two new factions in the major update. Let's get into it then. Let's go ahead and take a quick peek. We have ourselves two new battle groups here. The 3rd Armored Division we saw previously, and the 79th Guards Division we saw previously. But now we have the 39th Guards Strela Division, or Streliki Division, and the 8th Infantry Division. So those are the two new ones, as well as apparently some new maps as well, a 10v10 map. And I haven't played that yet. Didn't think that they would do it, yet there it is. It's back again. I can't believe it. So here's some new stuff that you actually haven't seen before in some of the other divisions, or, well, the only two that were available. So this is why this is big. We got a new mix of new stuff, bringing in new infantry at new prices, and also new transport. So new. It's good. But I want to see some more maps. I want to see some more single-player stuff. That's new as well. Damn, the Aragon. Awesome. You're going to be gone if that thing fires at you. What the hell is that, 220 millimeter? Yeah, 220 millimeter times 16. Crazy. Well, it's good to see. So a fantastic new way to play, and, of course, available today. I'm going to continue to keep an eye on this game, Broken Arrow, Regiments, and hopefully maybe one day we'll get a look at World in Conflict 2. Boy, I've been waiting for that one for a billion years. But anyway, that is it for my time here today, folks. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure you've downloaded the update if you're a big fan of it and already own it. It should be free, of course, until we get access to the full game sometime in the next year or so. But continue to provide feedback and make this game gooder and even better. Betterness. We need the gooder betterness, and that would be sweet. Thanks again for watching, guys. I'll see you all next time. Welcome to Warno.